there is that wonderful phrase, "What would Jesus do?" We generally apply it rhetorically to awkward situations, often as a means of calming conflict. Yet the events we commemorate on Palm Sunday don't paint the stereotypical picture of Jesus that is some sort of AD 33 hippie. Upon entering Jerusalem, we see him as a grand impresario, masterminding both a glorious piece of theatre and a calamitous fall. We can begin with his chosen mode of transport. In Britain, we usually associate donkeys with fairgrounds and the seaside. There is a logic to this. In comparison with their horse cousins, donkeys are relatively docile. They're far less likely to lash out when children torture them by poking their ears or screaming in terror at the first sign of movement. Horses have quite a different temperament. I have first-hand experience of this. My grandfather had a donkey. Her name was Rosa. She was his trusted friend. She obediently carried his hefty farming gear up and down the mountains in Puglia. During the day, she never complained of being bored while he tinkered with his vines, being content to munch on the bag of whatnots he provided. In comparison, the only time I have ever been airlifted to hospital was upon being near murdered by a horse. I don't remember his name, but I do know that he was the son of the animal Mel Gibson rode in Braveheart. This was pony trekking with Year 7 in the Peak District. We were supposed to be moving in a friendly pony procession at walking pace. However, a lesser beast had the audacity to overtake Braveheart Jr. Jr. was clearly unimpressed and saw fit to teach the pony, me, and all other inferiors a lesson in hierarchical social structures. He took off. I fell off, hence the trip in the helicopter. These anecdotes help explain an ancient custom that is relevant to the Palm Sunday story. Horses are used by the military, so are creatures associated with war. Donkeys, on the other hand, are associated with peace. The impresario Jesus was playing on this tradition. Pontius Pilate would have been on his horse. He would have been in procession. He would have created the image of a magnificent warrior. Jesus made a mockery of this by duping him on a donkey. It was a highly subversive act. Pope Francis performed a similar trick when he visited the United States of America. He refused to be driven in one of their gas-guzzling bulletproof Hummers. Consequently, he was famously escorted in a tiny, environmentally friendly Fiat 500. The pictures of the vulnerable little runabout being surrounded by armoured vehicles has become legendary. He used a shock tactic. Jesus used a shock tactic just as he had the crowds eating out of his hand to the tune of Hosanna. He shocked them with an act of violent anger by trashing the traders at the temple. It appears that the person riding the donkey had a temperament closer to Braveheart Jr. than Shrek's sidekick. Of course, the priests and the Pharisees were watching closely. Jesus had provided them with plenty of witnesses to testify that he was a troublemaker. As we remain in isolation, I find myself trying to find a way of making this relevant to our current predicament. It seems counterintuitive that we're keeping ourselves apart when our instinct is telling us to huddle together into a procession, and therefore doing exactly the opposite of what we should. But maybe this is the point. The crowds throwing coats, palms and olive branches before Jesus were being civilly disobedient, and in so doing must have placed themselves at some risk. Did they go through the similar emotional processes that we face whilst joining the procession into the supermarkets? Should I be here? Am I in danger? Am I endangering someone else? Will I get into trouble? I don't have the answers. I'm just presenting a thought. Enjoy Holy Week. If you have a potted palm in your home, pick it up and wave it. If you have a donkey, ride it. If you have a horse, better you than me. Whatever you do, stay safe.